Mr. Chairman, the County Attorney's Office has received inquiries concerning the conduct of the deliberations at the last meeting, and they're going to require a complete and thorough analysis of the proceedings during Washington's discovery. Therefore, it is our recommendation, Legal Office, that the approval of the minutes as well as the project entitled Washington's Discovery be deferred until the next meeting, at which time our office, me, can go ahead and provide a complete analysis and recommendation to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. So it appears to me that the minutes from the August 8th, 2016 meeting have been deferred to the next meeting of the Planning Commission. Do I entertain a motion to approve that? So it can be reflective in this meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the deferral.
Second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so carried.
On a further note, the projects titled Cambridge Meadows and Royal White.
You want me to go ahead and call?
Sure, if you don't mind.
First up is Ken Hastings.
Good evening. My name is Ken Hastings. I'm with the Mason Springs Conservancy. I assumed the announcement about the agenda change tonight relieves us of the duty of following the rule about discussing things on the agenda, because the thing I wanted to talk about most, and most of the people here want to talk about, is Washington's discovery. So I assume that since it's been officially deferred now, instead of what happened at the last meeting, which no one really understood what happened at the last meeting, I assume it's not on the agenda, and so it's fair game. Is that a fair assumption?
I don't know. I'm going to turn to my county attorney and ask that question.
Technically, it is off the agenda, so.
Just be mindful of everyone else's opportunity, Mr. Hastings.
Oh, absolutely. I would never do that. On the record, it appears to me, since I spend a lot of time here watching these proceedings, that the public does a better job of honoring the Planning Commission rules than the Planning Commission does. I have several examples here. Chairman Bowling opened up with the business about the Open Meetings Act. I watched for years, and I have never seen the Planning Commission open and close a meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, that's state law. However, it's in your rules. The commission may meet in closed session, et cetera, in accordance with state government article, et cetera, et cetera. So I really expect that someone should have been following that. But on March the 21st, council led you into an illegal closed meeting. No question about that. That's not my opinion about it being illegal. That's the Attorney General's office's opinion about it. And that's fine that the Open Meetings Compliance Board saw that and found the way that they should have. However, the admission read last time by Vice Chairman Jones was a whitewash of what that document really said. The whitewash said that there were some minor disparities in how things were done. That's not what it said. It said that you didn't do anything right. Exactly what it said. And in order to clear that up, since the only place you can apparently find this document is online at the Attorney General's office, I provided you all with copies tonight as a public service, and Ms. Pickrell got those before we got started tonight. Another issue, matters referred to the Commission by the Charles County Commissioners shall be placed on the agenda for consideration and action as soon as the schedule allows. Here we go again. Council has orchestrated a delay of 8 months on the bill to ban big box stores from COD and MX zones, with no action on the bill. It never came up again. That's certainly not what my idea of quick response is. Another one, Robert's Rules of Order will serve as a guide for conducting meetings, but not always. Certainly, when we look at the Guilford project, it was dead in the water waiting for a motion to prove that it was never coming due to glaring deficiencies in the design. If the PC wanted more information instead of just denying the application, the only way was a motion to defer. A motion to defer. In that case, which is different from the other case that I'll speak about, the motion passed and the project was deferred, and for several months while the applicant rewrote the staff report for them. Had the motion failed, there would have been no way to put the project on a subsequent agenda. In the case of the one that you had on the 8th here, a key element is that the motion ending in a tie vote failed. Robert's rules are pretty clear on that. Everybody who sat here and watched this the other night and went home and watched it on the video when it was posted knows that now because of the service of Google and their own knowledge about Robert's rules. But that idea didn't prevail the other evening. So something to keep in mind this evening, if you debate the future of the Washington discovery, which you're not going to do this evening, but next time you may, is that you need better advice. There's one more point here that I'd like to make, and I'm going to shut up. On page 10, it talks about public comment, and it says the public and applicants are encouraged to attend. I can tell you firsthand, in the years I've been here, I've never been encouraged to attend. And the next part is even more ridiculous, and may address the commission when called upon by the chair for information or clarification. It's never happened. I've never seen it. The public can be called on to comment, really? Is that a fact? I mean, is that in your rules? Because, going back to Guilford, which is one of my all-time examples of how something could get really messed up, council advised the chair that he couldn't take public comment on the Guilford project. You probably remember that. And you didn't. So why do you really even have any rules? We're here to help. I know that sounds strange, but we want to be part of this process. And you can feel free to call on us for advice at any time. And what do you really have to lose? Does anyone have any questions of me? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings.
Next up is Jim Long.
Good evening. My name is Jim Long. I'm a Charles County resident living in Accokeek, and I'm representing the Mattawoman Watershed Society tonight. The board decided that it would be sensible for our watershed group to make some comments. We're a watershed society, and I thought I would remind everybody that unlike a woodshed, a watershed is not a building. It is the land that sheds rain, water, and snow melt to a specified water body. The Nanjemoy watershed is adjacent to Mattawoman's, so they mutually support each other's outstanding natural assets through such things as the migration of wildlife, and because when you have a larger area, the number of species that the county can support increases through a well-known fact of biology. The number of species increases as the area increases. It's also true that two watersheds can interact negatively when invasive species are given purchase in one watershed or the other through forest disturbance. You have often heard me speak of Mattawoman's outstanding natural value. Nanjemoy also has outstanding natural values. When discussing biodiversity, state biologists fondly refer to Nanjemoy as Chuck's Nose. Chuck, as you know, is short for Charles County. Chuck's Nose is what Nanjemoy is. It looks like it's protruding into the Potomac River. They speak of it fondly because it's extreme biodiversity. It has some of the largest area of forest interior dwelling forest in the state. It's an Audubon important bird area, provides hunting opportunities, and it harbors the federally endangered dwarf wedge mussel and more. Now you might notice that I'm sort of dancing around a topic, and that's because I had expected Washington's discovery to be on the agenda tonight. I don't have prepared comments because, unfortunately, we just learned that there was going to be a deferral. It was not on the website. The agenda stands if you look on the website. I think if you know you're going to defer something, you might want to put it on the website when you know that. I do question the fact that Washington's discovery is going to be considered even in the next meeting, because I would like to remind everybody that the motion to defer failed on August 8th. Finally, on advice of council, I am submitting a letter on behalf of the Mattawoman Watershed Society to document that our organization is establishing itself as a party to the proceedings. It may interest you to know that counsel for the applicant to Waldorf Station, in attempting to deny opponent's standing, said that becoming a party required nothing more than such a letter. I am now handing this letter to the clerk. I expect it to be put on the record, and I would like it included in the minutes of this meeting that this letter was submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. That's all right. Take your time.
The next person is Mayla Tomanak.
Good evening. My name is Mala Tomanak. I live at 9975 Adams Willett Road in Nanjemoy. And I am submitting to you this evening a letter to establish and preserve my standing as an adjacent property owner in the event of an appeal of the Washington's Discovery Project, which I oppose. I'd like to take just a moment, not being very familiar with the Planning Commission and its requirements, to say that I am surprised that public comment isn't routinely solicited for preliminary subdivision plans. This is the best time to find out what the public is thinking, what kinds of things they like about the project, the kinds of things that they feel uncomfortable about the project, and the applicant can then address those concerns as the planning goes forward. So I'm sort of surprised that public comment isn't routinely solicited. And that's all I have. I'm going to submit this letter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, young lady.
The next person is Thomas Moorhead.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Moorhead. I live at 10075 Adams Willett Road in Nanjemoy. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I understand that that's normally not the case, but I do appreciate your time. I am submitting a letter tonight in my objection to Washington Discovery Project. I am an adjacent landowner to that property, and I would like to read this letter to you prior to submitting it. I am registering to be a party and a person of record in the above subject case, Washington's Discovery. My property is contiguous with the northern section of this property. I object to the Washington Discovery Project because Adams Willett Road is inadequate in width at 16 feet when the county guidelines require a distance of 22 feet for an access road to a major subdivision. 33 homes constitutes a major subdivision. The poor visibility to view driveway entrances and the reality of wildlife in the roadway creates an increased driving hazard when combined with the additional traffic that will be created with the 33 new homes. Additionally, the project will cause a dramatic increase in the number of septic systems that will adversely affect the Nanjemoy Creek watershed. Moreover, the mere process of construction will place an endangered species, the dwarf mussel, in risk from silt. Any construction of this project will cause the loss of so much natural forestation. The forested land around Washington Discovery has been protected by Perth State Park and Douglas Point Natural Area. Also noteworthy, the Nature Conservancy has purchased 2/3 of this original land, the original landmass belonging to the developer of Washington's Discovery, which will now be protected as well. Lastly, I hereby request that the hearing being held on the above subject case as a special meeting of the Planning Commission as rules allow. I am open for any questions that you may have at this time based on what you've heard from me. I shall submit this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moorhead.
Next is Linda Redding.
Good evening. I'm Linda Redding. I live in Nanjemoy, and I want to be clear on tonight that what was deferred was the approval of the minutes, because when you review the video from the prior Planning Commission meeting, there was a motion made, seconded, a vote taken, and according to the roll call, the vote to defer failed in a 3-3 tie. Now, during the proceedings, there were lots of improprieties. The representative of the applicant walks up and whispers to the county attorney, who then interrupts the proceedings while a vote was on the floor and appears to be speaking on behalf of the applicant in an effort to convince the Planning Commission to defer the discussion. And so it went. There was a vote, and the vote failed. Now, I know that sometimes people are appointed to positions because they're expected to rubber stamp any and every development regardless of the facts. But this major subdivision, which is inappropriate leapfrog development, as has been mentioned, lacks adequate public facilities, and everyone on that road and everyone downstream of that development is an aggrieved party. And I would like to know who makes what seems to be an arbitrary and capricious decision that it's not feasible to ride in the road. I'm wondering if this Gordon Croft LLC is related to Gordon Croft, who is a native of Charles County, Maryland, who manages a management investment company that itself manages hundreds of millions of dollars of investments, and who kindly made a $5.4 million commitment to Whiting School of Engineering. Now that's very good, but who decided that it was not feasible for Mr. Croft to widen the road, or the Gordon Croft LLC? And eventually it will, of course, guess who will have to pay to widen the road? The citizens of this county. So why is it more feasible for us to have to widen the road than it is for the developer who creates a situation that require the road to be widened? Also, I would ask that there is a survey done by DNR to look for rare and endangered plants and animals. This will feed into a creek where the endangered dwarf wedge mussel is known to exist. So I think that this requires a lot more fact-finding, and it's a project that in a few weeks would not be allowed in this area just because of its inappropriateness. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redding.
Hello, my name is Bonnie Big. I'm here representing the Sierra Club, and I would like to say that I am, and the Sierra Club is opposed to the Washington Discovery proposal. I'm disappointed to hear that it will be on the next Planning Commission meeting, because it failed to be deferred. So it should start and go again. And of course, as we know, that would mean that it would not be able to be done by October 16th. Why would the staff and the Planning Commission be rushing to make a deadline for something that's not in the public interest? This is 105 acres of forested, non-fragmented forested site, and there has been no endangered species survey done by DNR. They listed many endangered species that could be on the property, but it has never, they didn't send somebody out to do the survey. That needs to be done, and it needs to be done according to the season when the endangered species would be visible. And I think that that's a very important point for the Planning Commission members to take into consideration. This property obviously is very importantly located in the heart of Nanjemoy, which is known for its forest interior dwelling bird habitat. It's an important bird area, and it's in from the Potomac River, but this is the longest undeveloped shoreline in the Mid-Atlantic region. And why would we want to be fragmenting the forest of this important area that has much land around it that's in the Nature Conservancy? I feel that the way things happened at the last Planning Commission meeting was appalling. I felt that it was inappropriate, very inappropriate, for the applicant to come up and speak while there was a motion on the floor. He actually interrupted that motion on the floor, or he didn't directly, but then the staff lawyer did. And that was extremely inappropriate. And as a matter of fact, right on that same tape, when discussing whether or not the applicant could come up and make a presentation to the Planning Commission, the lawyer said it would be inappropriate if there were a motion on the floor for him to come up and speak to anyone. That was actually said on the tape, which I've watched a few times while I was here also, but it was extremely confusing how it all went down. So I would say that it is inappropriate, and it will set a bad precedent about the Planning Commission not following the rules if it were to come on the next agenda for the Planning Commission, because it failed. The deferral failed. So just, again, this is a sensitive property in the middle of Nanjemoy. It's like in the heart of Nanjemoy. And we know that the dwarf wedge mussel lives in Nanjemoy Creek, and any disturbance it's very sensitive, the dwarf mussel. So we do not want to lose that. It's valuable for Charles County to maintain water quality and the conditions that are now in Nanjemoy Creek. So fragmenting this forest is not in the public district, let alone the fact that the roads will have to be widened in the future, since it wouldn't be, it's not part of the deal with the developer to widen the roads. So there are many reasons why this should not go forward. And one of them, as I said in the beginning, was that why would the Planning Commission and the planning staff be rushing to make a deadline so that something that would not be allowed at all after October 16th? Why would Planning Commission members be rushing and the staff be rushing to get something approved just under the line. It doesn't make any sense if you're representing the best interests of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bick.